The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is e-Coffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, this is Victor with the Coffee with Experts, and today I bring you an amazing expert who knows what he's talking about, knows how the market operates and what needs to grow in the future. There is a sentence in the website, which will be down in the description below, which very much struck me in a way where I never thought about it. But 9 out of 10 books end up never getting published. And that's kind of sad if you think about it, because you see, you put so many emotions and efforts into creating and writing a book. So at the end of it, not having it published. It shouldn't be like that, but there we go, because today Yehuda Niv is here with us directly from Israel. Or do you live in the USA right now, Yehuda?
I'm currently in Israel.
Awesome. So currently in Israel, helping book publishers from all over the world, especially in the US, to publish their book in a quick way while designing the cover, doing everything else that a book needs to be done in order to go out there in the market, and doing what we most like out of it, leveraging AI. Yehuda, thank you so much for joining us in the show. How are you doing today? It's an honor, really.
Just finished the holidays here, you know?
Yeah, I imagine so. Look, first of all, as I was already saying down the line, love your katana in the background. I think people will resonate with the katana as well. Just quick conversation, quick question. Where did you get it?
It's a gift from a friend, a very good friend.
Nice.
Oh,
Is it sharp? Can you
very sharp
slice books with it?
No,
not the level.
It's for protection.
That's it. It's for protection. That's the best thing you could have said. Now, let's talk about books then. But before we jump into the technical part, especially talking about spines.com, I would like to first share with the audience and even understand myself your trajectory, because I know that you've been in the publishing space for a long time. You have your own company called Niv Publishing, right? But now we're talking about tech and books. Usually when we put the two words in a sentence, people might think we're going to be talking about Kindle, about e-readers, right? But you're here bringing to the table a solution to a market that desperately needs a solution. As I just said, based on your website, 9 out of 10 books never get published. So we need to do something, and you are doing this to make sure that the number becomes bigger in regards to improvement. But before that, talking about Yehuda itself, already a nice guy, likes the katanas, like the gift, like to protect yourself with some good old swords. But what else? What else can you share about the man itself? How you managed to get into the publishing space? Why did you get into the publishing space? Just open your heart to us without needing to cut it with a sword.
Sure. So everything started about 13 years ago. When I published my first book, I was halfway throughout my master's degree at electronics engineering. And, I was in a very different direction in my life. But once I've published my book, I realized that the publishing process is completely broken, and I better do something about it. It was so weird to me that all the different industries has developed, but the publishing hasn't. So I decided to bootstrap my own publishing company. I wasn't that clever about the name. I named it Niv Publishing after my last name, but it started in my dorm room.
But it's a nice name.
It's a good name, yeah. So it started in my dorm room when I was a student, but it grew to become the largest publishing house in Israel with over 1,200 titles published annually, bestseller books selling in the millions. About 8 years ago, I finished structuring the management team in Niv Publishing. Finally, I got my life back. I could rest a little bit, travel the world, and I started to do some M&As. I acquired 4 different publishers, integrated them into what has become Niv Group. Then I started to do some angel investing. And while I'm doing that, I came across this emerging technology, AI, that everyone speaks about nowadays. But, 2 years before ChatGPT, no one had a clue that this might come so fast and revolutionize everything. So, but I kind of foresaw that it will probably disrupt every industry, publishing included. And again, I better do something about it, because I either will become irrelevant by it with everyone else, or I could potentially
adapt. Yeah.
So that's when I started a new company. Eventually, I named it Spines. And what Spines is it's actually the new phase of publishing solutions. So we allows anyone who has reading a book, instead of going through the traditional way of publishing his manuscript, which probably, as you say, 99% of the American authors are rejected by the traditional publishers, and they're forced to navigate the complex maze of self-publishing, which most of them unfortunately never do. And or they will go to a hybrid publisher, both solution, either self-publishing or hybrid or vanity publishing. All of them will cost them in the tens of thousands of dollars, somewhere between $10,000 to $50,000. It will take them 6 to 18 months to complete. So what Spines is, we are not a publishing house. We are not a self-publishing service. We are a publishing platform. That's a new concept of getting your book published. So within the platform, we have 3 different plans. It's very affordable. It starts from $1,200, and the top tier is about $5,000. That depends of how much of a service you would like the AI to do for your book. So all the plans includes proofreading, formatting, cover design, metadata optimization. Few of them also includes audiobook. So we can create an audiobook.
Oh, that's nice.
We can use the author's own voice. We can model his voice and create an audiobook without him having to go to 40 hours into a studio to create his audiobook, you know? So we can actually save tons of time and money and effort to getting a book published very, very easily. Then we can list the book across 100 distribution channels worldwide, not only on Amazon, also on Barnes & Noble, Baker & Taylor, Book A Million. It's an online distribution, so the book will be available both in ebook, both in print-on-demand versions, and on few plans
Audio.
on the audiobook version, okay? So, and everything, instead of going on from 6 to 18 months, it will take about 3 weeks to complete, which, you know, in the old-fashioned way of getting books published, there were about 15 people that has to work on one title. You have the editor, the person who do the cover design, the person who take care of the formatting, the Amazon expert, okay, the one who converts it to ebook, okay. So many different people, and what we do, we are here to make the process as easy, as fast as possible, and we use the power of AI to do that. And you know, it's not an easy task, okay. It took us a while to figure out how to do all of that. For example, I'll give you an example how actually the AI can even improve the chances of the book to succeed because it's AI powered and not human powered. I'll give you an example on the cover design. So let's say you work with a cover designer. The cover designer probably at the same time working with few authors because he has to make a living. Enough time to read the whole book. You probably get a brief from the production manager, and I'll start to send you few options, and he didn't like it, so it will go back and forth a lot until you have some covers that you think, okay, that might work. But again, you are an author, you are not a cover design expert, so how can you know what is the best cover for your book? So what we develop is a tool that actually scan the whole book, understand the essence of the book, then go to a category research phase, okay, where we can actually see, okay, on which categories that book has the highest chances to succeed, and then how best-selling covers looks on those specific, what are the parameters who actually make a book turn into a bestseller on the visual part, and then combining all of that knowledge and giving you very, very quickly few versions of the cover design to choose from. If you didn't like them, you can regenerate, you get few more, until eventually you will have the version. And instead of that process go into weeks of back and forth with a designer, it's happening instantly on the platform. And let's say you loved something, but you want to edit it a little bit. You can actually manually prompt it and change it, okay, and optimize it to as you envision, okay, the cover. And the way it will be done, okay, is we poured over 13 years of me and the team of expertise in the publishing domain of what actually make books sells, okay, into every process, not only in the cover design, in everything else. So I'll give you another example, the metadata. The metadata file of a book, it's a 1,500 lines XML file that somehow the authors has to figure out by himself how to do that. Probably will go to an Amazon expert who will do that for him. And also what we did is we developed a tool that can understand the book, the essence of the book, the categories, the keywords, everything includes, and then create the best optimized metadata file to actually improve the visibility of the book in a certain category. And not only for Amazon, for every different platform, hundreds of platforms we are working with, everyone has a different weeks. We optimize the metadata too. So it's it's really a rocket science, okay? To taking a
And it shouldn't be, right?
so what we do is we simplify it for the author. So behind the scenes, there are a lot of magic going on, okay? Which probably you would need a lot of experts who come from decades of experience from the publishing domain, but everything is already integrated into the tools we developed. So everything is done for you effortlessly, fast, and that's only possible because of these new technologies that now being integrated into every aspect of our lives, of course publishing as well. And I'm probably the one who foresaw that before everyone, but I'm pretty sure that we will not be along for long, okay? But we are about 2 years of ahead
of the competition. Yes.
Ahead of the competition. We have so much things we already figured out, and
that's so nice.
Integrated with so many other channels. So we actually improve the chances of the book to succeed. We're not only going straight line into the production, we're actually improving the visibility of the book, the metadata, the formatting. We create over 70 versions of the same book, 70 versions of different formatting for that to be for each different platform, because everyone has little different tweaks. And that's only possible because me and the team come from over a decade of experience in the publishing domain. And we happen to build the largest publishing house in Israel with over 400 team members and a lot of actually, we have the highest amount of best-selling books in Israel. Okay. And
that's so nice.
A lot from that. Yes. And we brought all of that knowledge into Spines and into the American industry, publishing industry. And by the way, we already published 2,800 authors from the States. So we are growing very, very fast, and authors loving our solution. We are receiving an amazing feedback all the time. And for me, my mission in this journey is to make sure I will eventually be able to publish more than 1 million authors in my lifetime.
You will.
That's like a vision, okay? Because when I'm thinking about that is like, about the only reason we know what happened on this planet, on planet Earth, is because people wrote about it. But back then, most of people didn't know how to read or write, so they didn't have the chance to tell their story. Nowadays, in the Western world, most of people know how to read and write, and that's an opportunity, okay, to actually allow more people with the power of AI simplify their journey, because there are much more books that are not being published than the books that are being published. So by lowering the barrier of what needed to get a book published, we are actually be able to publish more titles, help more people tell their story, share their story with the world, and in 3,000 years' time, someone might look at those books and realize what actually happened in this period of time. And for me, like, our time here on the planet is very limited. We are here for somewhere between 80 to 100 years, if we are lucky, okay?
If you're lucky, yeah.
If we are lucky. But the book is the extension of yourself, okay? Because someone can find your book in 300 years, okay? And actually read your thoughts. And I believe that to be something very, very, very strong, it's actually to cheat death, by writing books. So, so me being able to help eventually millions of authors to cheat death and to their thoughts to be available,
leave their mark,
100 years
right?
time,
I
did my part.
Well, two things that I have to say in regards to this. First,
thank you.
We were saying like how much effort and money you save. And for me, what stood out the most was how much frustration you save, right? Of course, effort can be seen as frustration, but after everything you just said, 99% doesn't get published. We have 9 out of 10 not being published. It's a lot of frustration that you're saving. It's a lot of dreams that you're making sure that they're happening. Even down the line, I'm thinking to myself here, even down the line, if a book gets published, but doesn't get the success it deserves, at least it got published. At least that person 3 years from now may get famous. The person will never know. But that's the thing. You're making sure you're making it viable for people to have their story shared. That's amazing. And the second thing, go on.
And even if the book will never be a best-selling book, okay? but his grandchild will be able to read what their grandpa have written when he was in his 20s, in 30s. That's something that you can't put a price tag on. It's
Exactly, exactly. And the second thing that I was going to say is now for a long time, I ever wanted to write a book myself, not to become a bestseller author, just to write something. And now that I know that you exist, and now that people from our audience will also know about this, I imagine there will be more writers coming out of their whole who now understand that Spines is there to help. But this is stunning. This is simply groundbreaking. So again, congratulations over it. But now, what I wanted to congratulate you further was that you managed to make it work twice. So you have Niv Publishing worked very well, Spines working very well. And even you so mentioned that you are sometimes an angel investor. So you know how to grow companies. You know how to go around the obstacles and the thresholds that there exist, not even in publishing book, but in making sure a company works. So let me ask you this, with the knowledge that you gathered, with the amount of books that you may have read that made you have that knowledge, with publishing your own book, some things I believe you are very fond of, some strategies are you must be very fond of, or the way you work, or the culture that you're putting into the office itself. So do you know and can you share some of the methods that you use to make sure that both companies of yours were successful?
Sure, sure. By the way, my approach to both.
Nice to know.
So, by the way, Niv Publishing, it's my first company to succeed, but it's my seventh company. Okay. Okay. I had a lot of stupid ideas before.
Share some with us. Share some of the stupid with us, please.
Let's not focus on that.
Another time.
I think that the first topic is to keep going, no matter what happens. If you fail at your first try, second try, okay, keep trying. Eventually, you will find out something that was meant for you. I was studying electronics engineering. Okay.
Yeah, and then out of a sudden, publishing books.
But then when I started to help other authors to getting their book published, I actually start to get, let's say, help from the universe. Suddenly things start to work out, because probably that's my journey to help authors realize their publishing dream, because I felt that pain myself as an upcoming author who trying to figure out how to do stuff in the publishing space. So I think that the first lesson is to keep trying. Eventually you will find something. Then the difference between both companies, my first company that succeeded, Niv Publishing, it was totally bootstrap. I didn't know how to fundraise. I don't have a rich father, I had to do myself everything. And it was very, very slow growth of every time I had a profit, I reinvested that into growing the company again. And it was a very, very slow process. And it took me about 8 years, okay, from to the biggest publishing house in Israel. Okay. And I had to learn a lot of stuff myself, and I had a very good mentors who helped me a lot. By the way, mentors, it's very important thing to have. Okay.
I agree.
People who can look at their results, and they inspire you, and you can actually learn from their journey and from their mistakes, and they can actually save you time. So finding the right mentors for the journey is something very important. But my approach to the second company, to Spines, is because it's a product-led company, it's a tech company, and we are at the very pinnacle of the advancement of AI. Had to fundraise. To date, I've raised $22.5 million for Spines from top tier investors. So
amazing.
I had to teach myself how to do that. And again, I had mentors for that, people who already raised tens and hundreds of millions of dollars to the companies. And they were very kind to give me all the advices I need to the journey. So, and then I realized how different is the journey from bootstrapping a company than having a VC-backed company. That's a very different way of building a company. And when you're bootstrapping a company, you need to be very, very, let's say, careful about your steps, about your growth, okay? And managing the cash flow, that's the most important thing, okay? But in 2017, I always went bankrupt because I didn't know how to manage cash flow, okay? And I was so lucky, okay, that I could actually overcome that period of time. And finally, I learned the hard way how to manage cash flow. So growing a bootstrap company, you need to do that very, very carefully, and you will need good mentors who do that. On the other hand, building a VC-backed company, okay, raising those amounts of capital, you have to be very professional, okay, in the way that you're building the budget, okay, because if they're going to trust you in millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars, okay, you need to be someone that can be trusted with that amount of money.
Of course.
So you have to build the character to do that. And me coming from almost a decade of experience from the publishing with the team members who actually helped me build Niv Publishing, now helping me building Spines, and also having the opportunity to already build a successful company before that. So that gave my investors more clarity in what we are doing and that we can pull it off. But yet, I had to learn this all new, let's say, skill of how to raise capital the right way. And then when you have that budget, okay, which you didn't earn yet, okay, you
Mm-hmm.
okay, now you need to in order to, okay, so the investors invested capital in your company, okay, in some kind of valuation, but that's not the real valuation of the company because the company hasn't succeeded yet. Okay, so you have to grow fast, okay, to meet the valuation that you were able to raise in that amount of. So it's a really race against time. Okay, so you need to, everything should happen very fast. You need to hire fast. You need to build the product fast. You need to onboard customers fast. You need to grow fast. So it's a very different approach than the bootstrap, where everything should go very slow and carefully. In the startup world, speed is everything. If you are not fast enough, someone else will raise more money and grow faster than you, and you will be irrelevant eventually. So it's a very different approach, and I actually had to recalibrate my thinking to the to the new pace of the business. For me, it's much more enjoyable, okay, because
that's nice to know.
A lot of adrenaline. You actually see things develop from month by month. Things are moving fast. Okay.
More dynamic, right?
What?
More dynamic at the end of the day.
Much more dynamic, much more risky, by the way, because you are burning cash.
You need to have a good spine in you to make sure that you stand in the game, right?
Yes. And it's a very different approach. So you put speed above all. Okay. It's okay to lose money now because we know we will be very profitable in few years, okay? But now we need to seize a large chunk of the market before everyone else realizes this opportunity, okay?
Cool.
That's the game. And it's a very different approach than bootstrapping companies. I think having the experience of a decade of my life building a bootstrap company, then focusing nowadays on building a growth company, which is VC-backed, having those both experience give me the perspective of those two different methods and a lot of challenges, by the way. It's challenging. Building a business is challenging. It's maybe different challenges, okay? But it's very challenging. And the most important thing of being a successful founder is resilience, okay? Because hard time will come, challenges will appear, the competition will make you very, very uncomfortable eventually, okay? And you need to overcome everything and keep going no matter what happens, okay? Those who fail are those who stop. You should never stop. You should keep.
That's a good sentence.
Keep going. Keep going. Eventually, everything will fall in place. Just keep going. And it's a mindset, okay? It's a winning mentality mindset. Not you only, also your close circle, okay? The management team we are working close with, okay, they should be winning, having winning mentality. Well, okay,
yeah,
because in the test of time, challenges will appear, and you have to crush them. Okay, and having a strong team that works together and having that mentality, eventually you will win, and that's the most important thing in business: to keep going and to win eventually, even if it takes years. Sometimes, eventually you will win, and that's the mentality, that's the resilience you need to the journey. And the harder it gets, the closer you are, you know.
Nice. Food for thought. As you know, you mentioned that you have already 2 years ahead of the competition, and that's definitely a nice start for anybody in any market whatsoever. Let me understand how right now you're treating this in regards to marketing, and then I'm gonna have more questions in regards to AI and the books themselves. But you had Niv Publishing already managed to become the best company in regards to book publishing in Israel, as you said, and now you have spines working in the USA. How are you making sure that the writers are finding you?
So I believe I have the strongest CMO possible. Okay. He is
That's
the one
great.
who helped me building the brand of Niv Publishing and actually turning Niv Publishing into the number one publishing house in Israel. And now we're using those same strategies in Spines. It's a little
Okay.
different because Spines is here to redefine what publishing is all about. Instead of publishing being about the readers, we are trying to turn publishing into being about the author. Okay? So,
True.
so always when you're trying to redefine something, it's much more of a challenge, okay, than actually copy something that someone else did. So we're trying to recreate the idea about publishing, and that's not an easy task. But I have a very strong CMO. He understands performance marketing very, very well. We are strong
Nice.
believers in performance marketing. Okay, we know how to acquire customers. I think the most important thing when you are trying to grow your revenues and your strategy is performance marketing is always keep the CAC in check. Okay, CAC is the customer acquisition cost. Okay, how much it cost you? So a very common mistake of tech companies is they want to grow very fast. Okay, so they don't give a lot of attention to the cost of acquiring customers, and then
Mm.
they're screwing up the unit economics. Okay, because if it's cost you so much to acquire a customer, and the LTV of the customers, even in 2 to 3 years' time, will never pay back the cost of acquisition, you have a very sick business. And when you are scaling that up, you're just scaling up the whole. Okay,
Including the problems, you mean?
yes, and so that's a very common mistakes of tech founders who they want to grow fast, okay, because they want to seize this market opportunity, but actually to do that they scale something that is sick from the essence of it, because acquiring a customer cost them much more than actually what you will ever pay them. And so if you are a performance marketing led growth company, you have to keep your numbers in check. Okay, so having a very strong marketing team that is very KPI oriented, that is measuring everything all the time, and make sure that you keep the growth you want without ruining the KPIs. That's the most important things, because if you will try to raise capital in later stages, the number one things that investors are looking for is unit economics that actually makes sense. So every dollar you're pouring into marketing, you are getting $5 or $6 back. Okay, and in most startup companies, that's not the case. Okay, they're actually losing money from every transaction. So, and as long as they can keep raising capital, they will be fine. But in the tech industry, there are the waves of the industry. Sometimes it's getting very, very hard to raise capital. When your unit economics is sick, the company is done. Okay, so no matter how fast you would like to grow, make sure the unit economics is something that makes sense. That's the most important things.
And keeping on the marketing conversation, talking more about the books now, about the publishers and publishing a book and making sure that the book stands out. You have your knowledge in regards to business and the book you've written yourself. So do spines also help customers with getting the book out there? And if so, do you see right now a different way to publish and promote those books, like using social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever? Or is there something else that we need to understand better about how it is marketed a book nowadays?
So first thing to get understand is we do not write the book for the author, read the AI. Okay, it's not something that we do. For this book,
Yeah.
we are soon about to release a writing assistance aid that might help him with some rephrasing of paragraphs, but he is the writer of the book. Then he finished writing his manuscript. Now there is the production phase, which is 3 weeks of a process with spines. After that, we list the book across 100 channels. It takes a while to do that, but we do it very, very fast to the most important channels. Then we add on as we go. And then comes the marketing part. So we help the authors with the production, distribution, and marketing. Okay, so as
Perfect.
I earlier said, I'm a strong believer in performance marketing. So our approach to marketing books is a performance marketing oriented. So how we do that? So if you are an author who just got your book published, let's say self-publishing, and you try to create an AMS campaign on Amazon, for you to do that, that's a rocket science. So probably you will get an Amazon expert, or you bring in an agency, you will pay them a retainer. The retainer is minimum 3 months. On top of the retainer, you need to have the marketing budget. And now the chances of you to actually getting back your investment or marketing is close to zero. Okay. So what we did is we actually, okay, I want to improve the chances of the author to actually make money from selling books. So to do that, I cannot charge him a retainer of a marketing agency. I need to, as much as possible of his marketing budget to go actually to marketing. So to acquiring the media. So what we did, we created a marketing tool that actually allows the author to create a campaign very, very seamlessly. Okay, they don't need to understand
That's
marketing.
very nice.
It's just the banners, it's just the creatives, it's just the audience. The only need they have to choose is their budget. Okay, 80% out of that budget actually goes to acquiring the media on the different channels, and our tool can manage the marketing performance for them to do not need to take care of that. Everything is done for them, and they actually see the reports and see what's going on. And then they can choose either they will try different campaign or to try different budget, or if it works, they can keep increase the budget and keep money. So that's a tool we had to create because we want to improve the chances of the author who are willing to invest capital in promoting the book to actually making sure they can get something back. Because if you have all of that, like if you have an agency and on top of that the marketing, but you will never gain back enough capital to pay for the cost of the agency. So what I'm trying to help authors solve all the problem, and I'm trying to use as much as tech as possible to do that. That's like my mission.
It looks to me like any authors, they just need to go to you. Like, just come to Spines. Spines will handle everything from helping you get it all sorted, getting the cover sorted, getting the variation sorted, getting marketing sorted. Basically, right now, you are the end goal for every writer who needs to spread their word in their book.
Yes.
And
that's what every author will understand eventually.
I'll make sure whoever talks to me wanting to know more about writing their books, I'll make sure to take them your way. Don't worry about it. And then one thing that I would also putting myself into the writer's shoes and remembering of all the conversations I've been having throughout the podcast, AI is something that you either learn how to leverage and live with it, or you're just too scared to even touch it somehow. And this by itself brings a lot of myths and misconceptions about how AI can work and should work, especially in the publishing space. So let me ask you this. Have you ever heard somebody asking you, like, hey, Yehuda, I'm kind of concerned about the usage of AI in my book. I'm not sure if this is something if this is the correct route. And by you nodding your head with yes, I imagine that yes, this has been something already in your radar. Of course it has. So how was it? And how do you make sure that they become more comfortable knowing that you're using it in the right way?
When we just announced our Series A, our $60 million Series A, led by Or Zahav, participated by Aleph, both of them are top tier VCs, and we did the announcement, and few of the comments, like the title said AI-based publishing, but people didn't understand. They thought that we actually use the AI to generate books, the content of the book, and replacing authors. And I'm like, that's the opposite of what we are doing.
Yeah.
We're to not replace the authors. We are here to empower authors with AI. Okay. So that's the first time it struck me that people are so much afraid of AI that the imagination is like, it will replace me eventually. It will. So AI, it's a tool for us to use. Okay, we can use that for very different things. Okay, and eventually, I believe that we need to use the power of AI to empower people in every different industry. You can find a way to empower people with AI. Okay, not to replace them, to empower them. So my customers to be the authors. Okay, so if my customers are the authors, what can I do to save them time, money, effort, hustle? Okay,
Frustration.
Try to use the most up-to-date technology to do that. It happens that we live in 2025, so the most up-to-date technology is
AI.
technology. In 5 years' time, and some new technology will emerge that can help authors save more time, cost, money, and effort. I will probably integrate that as well. So we are not here to, I say that we're here to disrupt, but no, the disruption is happening with me or without me. Okay, I'm only using what's available to actually help more authors. So that's my approach. There are a few startup companies who are trying to replace the authors to write better books with AI. But because my customer is not the reader, okay, I'm focused on the author. Not so if I was focused on the reader, I will try to create content with AI to give the reader a better reading experience. But because I'm focused on the author, I'm here to create a publishing process, marketing process, distribution process that actually can help the reader,
the writer.
Yes, the writer to reach more audience. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. That depends of who you choose as your customer. And of course you have to choose the best tools available to help your customers. So I choose my customers to be the authors, so they never need to be afraid that I will replace them with AI. Okay.
Exactly.
I think so. So on every different industry, okay, choose the players to work with that are here to empower you with the powers of AI or the power of whatever will be available. I don't know, in few years, quantum computing probably will be a very big thing. So, okay, how can that help more authors? That's my mission. Okay.
Perfect. And then let me ask you this last one before I jump to the conclusion, which is right now you're working in the USA towards spines, right? So Niv Publishing was in Israel. Now we have spines in the USA. Is it the USA because of you trained the language model to be in English, or am I getting the picture wrong and you're actually global or in several other markets as well?
So our main focus right now is America, okay, the States. We are now working on expanding to Latin America as well, okay.
Perfect.
To focus on Spanish as well. But our main focus was the American publishing industry because it's the second publishing industry on the planet. Okay, the first one is China. Okay, I don't know
I
Chinese.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I had no idea.
Yes. They publish the highest amount of books every year.
Oh, wow.
Huge industry. But I don't understand the mentality. I don't understand the language. I have
The language
Okay, so but English,
is the universal language at the end of the day still.
yes, and also it's a very large market. Okay, there are 2.3 million titles published annually in the States. Okay,
What? Wow.
I believe there are much more titles that are not being published in the States.
9 out of 10 don't get published, so the potential is huge.
I know. So when I'm trying to solve problem, I will try to go to a market that have a much more of people that actually need the solutions that I'm developing. In Israel, for example, there are only 7,000 titles published annually in Israel. Okay, and I
It's a big
already
difference.
published 18% out of them. Okay,
Mhm.
so developing this technology to Israel, it's
Wouldn't make much sense.
you will never get the investment back from the industry because it's too small.
Yeah.
But in the States, it's a huge opportunity. So even if it takes me few years and few tens of millions of dollars to develop that technology, I know that eventually I could build a very, very profitable company because the opportunity is big enough. Okay. So because I wanted to build a VC-backed company and I wanted to help a lot to actually be able to help million authors getting their book published. So going to the American industry was the only thing that makes sense. This is why I choose. But now we are starting to expand to Latin America as well, to more English-speaking nations like Canada, the UK.
I imagine. Wow. Well, look, I'm Brazilian. I was born in Brazil. I lived in Brazil until 2 years ago. And Brazil has a very strong reading culture, very strong. It's very incentivized, even when we were kids, to read huge books, to understand how books are written, how we should, as the reader, understand the message of the author. So you do find yourself, especially as you said in Latin America. I believe that the other countries have a very similar mindset, but you do find a lot of students or freelance writers wanting to publish their books, but they get so scared of the process, which we have been discussing thus far. They just give up. They just go
No.
somewhere else. Just like soccer. You have a lot of good players back in Brazil, good kids playing football or soccer every single day, but because of the process, they give up. So you're literally, as you said, empowering dreams out of those people who don't know where to start by just making sure that they have everything in their hands by going to Spines. That's the mission. And I congratulate you very much so, because that's very much it's a different thing altogether that needs to be around and people need to know more about it. So now my last question, which is important because I wish I could ask more, and I'll make sure to have you back in the show in the near future. But my last question to you, you said at the beginning that you travel all over the world already. And with that comes different mentalities, different cultures, different ways to approach business and to approach needs and difficulties and whatsoever, anything else that comes with traveling. Do you remember a specific place? It doesn't have to be like a country, it can be just a city or even a culture that really changed how you handle everything business wise and even personal wise?
I remember the first time I stepped in New York.
Okay.
No, I grew in a southern city in Israel named Beersheba. So it's a very different.
Yeah.
Then I moved to the center of the company. Now I live in Herzliya. So it's a very tech-driven city, like a lot of tech
Hmm.
founders, a lot of VCs. It's a very um, but I remember the first time walking in New York, and I was amazed by the building, by the pace of the city, like the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
And I realized, okay, the difference between building a company in Israel, okay, you are capped by the size of the Israeli market, which is very, very small. And here in the States, it seems like it's unlimited. The opportunity
Yeah.
is huge. And so it actually, I remember that actually changed my perspective of what's possible. Okay. Once I stepped there, and it was only a matter of time until eventually Spines will start its own journey and being starting this new company and this new journey and actually focusing on the States and building eventually, I hope, the largest publishing platform on the planet. Everything probably the huge vision of creating this global company will help authors all over the world. Probably it starts there.
Awesome.
I actually realized that it's possible.
Uh-huh.
There is enough wealth in the world to create what I'm trying to create.
That's really nice. And there's Spider-Man in New York as well, which is also a plus, right? So there's the guy over there. Well, Yehuda, look, this has been amazing. Knowing more about the publishing market has been amazing. Knowing about your story has been amazing. And I think not only me, but everybody who's watching us to this point will agree that you deserve the success that you're craving for. First of all, thank you for being here and sharing everything. Congratulations on making sure that these writers are finding a possibility to make sure that their dream comes true. Especially nowadays, you see so many people who doesn't get that opportunity to shine or to stand out, and they're just looking for that. And I wholeheartedly believe that this is the opportunity that I've been looking for. So just out of it all, thank you for the show. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Everyone else who's watching us, you're going to find all of the links down below in the description. Do check it out. Do take a look. It's free. It will help more people get towards their dreams. So why not? Yehuda, for you, I just wish all the best. And I just once again, and for the last time, nice katana you have there. Very much a nice
Thank
gift
you
that
very
you
much.
got it. Thank you for being in the show. Hope to see you again in the future. And that's it for everybody. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.